Hey y'all, I just beat the main story of The Outer Worlds 2, and I just wanted to give some quick thoughts on it. The Outer Worlds 2 had a lot to live up to based on its pre release marketing, which included an over 18-minute IGN interview with the creative director about how New Vegas influenced its development. New Vegas is not only one of my favorite RPGs of all time, but also one of my favorite games of all time. Does The Outer Worlds 2 live up to that? Well, no. But that doesn't mean it's a bad game. See, to me, what makes New Vegas so great is how the world will dynamically react to the player while still leading them to around the same endpoint. Not only were there multiple ways to do each quest, but there were multiple ways to start and end each quest. The Outer Worlds 2 is not like this at all. One example that sticks out in my mind is from the first planet, where I had to choose which of two people to help. I chose to help a general, and she told me to clear out an enemy camp. I went to the camp, and instead, I decided to fix a few of their problems, the exact opposite of what I was supposed to do. And, well, when returning to the quest giver, she just seemed mildly annoyed and said it would be best to work with me anyways. I made a choice, yet I got the same exact result I would have if I had done something different. The Outer Worlds makes up for this, however, by including something else from New Vegas. This game is not particularly reactive to your choices. However, it is reactive to how you build your character, which can then let you make different choices. About halfway through the game, I was tasked with ending a war between two factions, and I could pick whichever side I wanted or try to help them work together. I decided to try and help unite the factions, which took not only multiple hours of questing, but also culminated in a 5-minute conversation between two leaders where I had to pass many high skill checks in order to make them see eye to eye. To me, this is what makes the game so special. I love the way that Obsidian RPGs handle character leveling. I think the pass fail approach really forces a player to specialize in a few skills, where Bethesda's dice roll systems let players diversify their builds a lot more. Because of how the game essentially forces you to specialize in a few skills, there's so many different ways to reach the same goal, and some choices that are entirely locked if you do not have the correct build. Well, this doesn't exactly impact the greater open world like in New Vegas. It does impact your own personal role in the story. Going back to my earlier example, it literally does not matter which faction you choose to side with, but having that choice anyways helps add to the role playing aspect. That's why I enjoyed this game so much more than Starfield or Avowed, for example. This approach to character building even impacts the gameplay as well. While the FPS combat is better than the first game, it's still not anything special. It does a fine job at keeping up with its contemporaries, but isn't really anything super fun or addicting. The shooting and all the various gadgets feel fun to use, but over the course of my almost 15-hour playthrough, I never really found any interesting weapons or even mods. I honestly just used the same 4 weapons the entire time and never really found any guns that looked like they would be better. Even if I did, however, I wouldn't have been able to really give it a fair try due to the game's ammo economy, where the only way to actually get any ammo is to buy it in bulk from vendors. What adds to the gameplay, however, is how each dungeon is built with the game's approach to character building in mind, meaning there are multiple ways to complete one objective. I would almost go as far to say that this game approaches immersive sim levels of gameplay choice. That is, if you weren't essentially locked into one approach based on how you built your character. On top of the great level design, The Outer Worlds 2 features a lot of unique mechanics in its main story dungeons. X-ray goggles, murder mysteries, and a set-piece escaping an exploding ship are all unique encounters that appear throughout the game. Now, I don't think that this game is perfect by any means. Its best aspect, the character building, also leads to one of the worst parts as well. The entire first planet of this game is downright terrible. Not average or not even bad, terrible. You don't have enough points in anything to make any interesting choices, and you don't have any good guns or even much ammo, which makes the combat a slog. Adding on top of that, the objective for the first area is just extremely basic, and the faction choice made here is just not really interesting at all. I honestly just didn't want to play during this point, and I went multiple days in a row without even touching the game. Besides that, I do think that the game suffers from weak writing in spots, and none of the companion characters are really that interesting at all. Like I said before, the entire first half of the story is just kinda uninteresting, with the villain whose motivations are still even a bit unclear by the end. I also think that this game kind of loses a lot of the corporate satire that was found in the first one, for better and for worse. Like, the story in this game can be taken a lot more seriously this time, but I just wish it had expanded upon what the first game did. Sure, there are moments where that satire is still there, like how the game gives you a special flaw if you buy the premium edition. The anti-choice colony and their corporatism really take a back seat to the main themes of this game, religion and how it may look in the far future. I think that this is an incredibly interesting idea, but I would have liked some of the themes from the first game to return. Like, maybe they could look at how a corporation itself could be considered a religion, and how these ideals may clash with other religious groups. I just think that they could have done more here with the theme and the message of this game, and that was definitely one aspect that was shortchanged to make the game as reactive as it is. Side note, real quick as well, I don't think the major faction choice in this game is really hard, like at all. Like, why would you pick one faction over another when you can just have them work together and get the best of both worlds? Not only did New Vegas have more ending choices, but its factions were more morally gray, leading to me not really knowing who I should side with at the end of that game. Here, though, I didn't even have to think about it. Getting back to some more general critiques, I really am just not a fan of the zones in this game. Sure, they look fantastic, but man, they just feel so small and empty. Like, sure, this is much better than Starfield, where everything actually is empty and procedurally generated, but I just think, much like Starfield, this game just needs one big main central area, and then other side planets. There's 4 planets in this game, and I think it would have been a lot better if they had just combined them into 2 planets. I think you could still keep all the space travel stuff while also achieving that feeling of getting lost in an open world. You physically cannot get lost in these small zones, because not only are they extremely tiny, but there are also not really many points of interest on the map. Not only are the best RPGs in this style, New Vegas and Skyrim, big, but they are also dense. This game may be big, but it doesn't feel big due to how it's split up. While this game makes a lot of strides in fixing Starfield's open world problem, I just don't think it fully gets there by the end. One last thing I want to briefly touch on are the flaws and perks. I think the flaw system is really unique and something that I can't really think of being in any other game. I think some of the flaws can be really interesting and completely change the game, such as the flaw where you have to take every other flaw. Most of them, however, really just fit into that character building that I love so much. Like, there's one that decreases max health, but increases stealth damage. And while that didn't work for me and my tank build, that would be fantastic for a stealth build. There are some flaws that are just kind of overall bad, like one that decreases your health after you talk to someone. However, most of them deepen character building. They also appear dynamically based on how you play the game, which adds to the game's reactivity. On the opposite side of that, however, are the game's perks, which to me are not very good. There are a few good perks at the start, but towards the end of the game, I was just having a lot of trouble picking them. Most of the perks are just like stat upgrades or net benefits like decreased vendor prices. I know that some perks can be used to make choices in dialogue, but most of the time I just never found myself thinking about the perks at all, beyond passive perk upgrades that made the game easier. New Vegas had so many interesting perks that could help shape your character, and this game just doesn't do that to the same level. Overall, I think The Outer Worlds 2 is a great game. Sure, it doesn't have the same level of reactivity as something like New Vegas, but I think Obsidian's approach to character building really makes up for it. The story in this game is incredibly interesting, even if it loses a bit of the edge and satire that the original have. The combat is serviceable. Not bad, but not great. While the level design is fantastic, I'm not a big fan of the opening hours or the approach to open world design, but besides that, this game doesn't have many noticeable flaws. This isn't the best or most innovative game ever. Like, besides maybe the flaw system, I can't say there's anything really new here. But what is here is an incredibly enjoyable action RPG that scratches a similar itch to earlier Bethesda/Obsidian releases. After the mediocre Avowed, I was worried about this game's quality. However, I can thankfully say that Obsidian is back on the right track. I recommend The Outer Worlds 2, especially if you're a fan of Bethesda or Obsidian games. I would give it an 8 out of 10. Well, that's my review of The Outer Worlds 2. If you watch all this way, I really appreciate it. I would say like, subscribe, comment, and I would really appreciate that. But I just want to take the last few minutes of this video to talk about me and this channel. So this is my first ever YouTube video, and I've been wanting to make YouTube videos really ever since I became a furry, maybe even before that. And I was just like, well, I'm gonna wait until I get my fursuit, and then I'll start making videos. And until then, I'll keep going through my backlog, listen to music, blah, blah, blah. And I got my fursuit yesterday, and it was one of those things I was like, oh, this is so far in advance, like I don't have to worry about it. And then it happened. So I finished The Outer Worlds 2 yesterday as well, and I was like, why don't I just make a video about it? So I wasn't planning on making a video about it at first, so that's why the script may be a little not as good as hopefully my usual quality, but I don't know, I think it's a good video. But yeah, like, I probably won't be uploading too much, maybe a few times a month at most. This month, I plan on releasing probably 2 more videos. I want to make a video on No Players Online, which also came out yesterday. And then I want to make a video on the new Call of Duty campaign. In December, oh wait, I also might make a video on Dispatch because I bought that too. Anyways, in December, I'm also probably going to make a video on the new Destiny 2 DLC. Beyond that, I maybe might make some videos on like music or TV shows, but probably for now, it's just going to be new releases. One day, I do want to go through and make longer form video essays about games I like. So I've been making a list for, maybe 5, 6 years of games I want to make videos on. And now I'm kind of getting to the point where I want to start it. There's some more games I want to play and potentially add to that list before I start that. So until then, probably just going to be a shorter upload schedule. But if you like this video or you like me, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I just want to say, like, this is so fun that I can finally do this. And if, 5, 10 people watch it and like one person leaves a comment and says like, I like your fursuit, or I think you sound cute, or something like that, then that'd be great. And that would be a job well done by me. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I guess I also might like upload this on YouTube Shorts, and TikTok might make a video like similar to this, but with a little bit different script. So you can try and find me on there. But yeah, like, thank you. I appreciate you watching this video. That's all I have to say.